Okay, so today what we're going to be looking at is we are going to be looking at Google Classroom and how to just some basic introductory steps and how to create a class and how to post and just some of the very beginning basics of this. First and foremost, the way you get to Google Classroom is you type in classroom.google.com. So it's like any of the other Google apps. You type in whatever the app is, followed by google.com. But critical thing to note here is this is not available for just any Gmail account. This is actually restricted only to education users. So as you notice, I've signed in under a generic email address, and you will see that I cannot actually use it. I can't even sign into a class or anything. You actually have to be able to switch into an academic, and so I've also logged in on my academic account, my education account that's being handled by my district, and this actually lets you in. And this is the basic home screen for Classroom. I have actually already created a class, so you can see this here, right here. But like I said, this video is about how to create it and just the basic introductory things of Classroom. So when it comes to creation, no matter if you're joining a class or creating a class, everything comes down to this plus sign right up here. This plus sign is what you want. This is where you're going to click on that, and it's going to show you what you need. So you have either join a class or create a class. So first off, we're going to create a class, and it's going to bring up this window, and it just says class name, and you're just going to type in the name. So let's just go ahead and let's say Science 1. And then it gives you an option for a section in the event that you want to separate this by sections and so on and so forth. In this case, we're going to go ahead and leave that blank and not actually have a section. We'll just say this is for all of my Science 1 classes. So I create it. Takes a moment. But as you can see, it produces a class with just some generic options. Now you can change your theme and you can or upload a photo, and that's just options you can play with up here. And you also have your menu up here in the left. This is where you can either go back to your home or switch between classes, or even look at any assignments that you have going on, as well as settings and archives classes. And I encourage you to click on each of these and find out what's going on with those. In this video, I'm not going to take the time to really delve into these. But I do want to go over the basic layout here of a class that you are teaching. You'll notice there are three options. You've got Stream, Students, and About. In the Stream, it's basically everything that's going on here. Everything that's going on in your class. Students is anyone who is enrolled in your class. And then About is just some basic information. So we've created a class here. Now there's one thing I want to call to your attention, and it's right here, this little class code here. In this case, JRN69Y. This class code is uniquely generated for each class that is created and open. And it's this code that any of your students that you want to enroll in your class will need to know. Okay? So now I can't actually join my own class as a student, so I'm going to go ahead and use a class from a colleague. So I'm going to go back to home, and once again I'm going to hit the plus sign, and instead of hitting create class this time, I'm going to go ahead and join a class. And the code that I'm going to enter is for another class, and just like before, it's going to take a little bit of time to create, and then it shows the class. So this right here is a different class. This is a physics for block 4 with a couple of my colleagues, and what you will notice is that now it has a different view. Now obviously there are things in the stream here as opposed to the new class that we created, but you'll notice that a couple of windows have disappeared over here. Students has changed into classmates, and if you kind of play around with anything, there's very little you actually can enter other than just a note. Okay, so this is what your students are going to be seeing. So for the most part, as a teacher, you see very similar things to what your students see. So this is another class that I have created, and I'm going to continue in this one just for sake of this one having an actual student enrolled in it. Excuse me, in it. So let's go ahead and let's go over the layout of this. You have obviously your Stream tab. Now your Stream tab will have any and all posts to your class by you or anyone else that has permission to post to your class. The newer the post, the higher up it is. The older the post, the farther down it is. And you can just continue to scroll down to get to the very bottom to the earliest posts in this class. So basically, this is just everything in the class that you take care of. So, or that gets posted. The Students tab is where you have any of the students who are actually enrolled in your class, and you actually have a couple of options you can do. Once again, the class code is in this tab again, so there's so you will see it both in the first tab and in the second tab. It gives you an option to where you can actually control what the students can post or comment. If you want this to be more of a lesson plan or of something something along the lines of here are your assignments in each day, and you don't really want students commenting and taking up space on the stream, you actually can control that by changing the options. You also will see any of your students that are here. You'll have the option to email them. You'll have the option to, if you check them, and other actions as well. You can remove them. You can email them directly by doing this way, or just click that little envelope there. Or you can actually mute them. So if one student is potentially abusing the commenting privileges on the stream, you can individually mute that particular student. And then the last tab is just the About. Now the About will allow you can invite an additional teacher if you have multiple teachers teaching the same subject. You have the title of the class. You actually can change this. You can customize this a little bit more, as well as list the room, add any materials. And then it also tells you one very important thing. It tells you your Google Drive folder. Now your Google Drive folder is very, very important because this is where anything for this class that is submitted by any of your students is actually stored. So if you actually go to your Google Drive, you can see right here, if I click this, it's going to bring me straight to that folder. So here's that folder. This is the folder for the class. And if you look at the path here, the address, you will see that if you go to My Drive, you will notice, in my case, I have a lot of folders here. You'll notice that there will be a folder called Classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open that Classroom folder. And it shows all of the classes that I have ever created. So I have a large number of classes that I have in here because I've experimented with Classroom for a while. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up that PLC1, which is where it was, and it's going to take me right back to that folder. So in the event that you ever want to go to the folder where all your assignments are and you don't want to have to log into Classroom, you just basically go into that folder here. You go in, or excuse me, to that About here, and you can click on that folder right there, and you'll be taken right to it. Okay. So that's basically the basic layout of Google Classroom. Now, the other thing about Google Classroom you need to understand is you need to understand how to post. Now you can add comments to posts that are already existing. You can just go to the particular post, click on Add Comment, write whatever you decide you want to write, and then post it. You also have options within posts. You can edit them or delete them as well. But the big thing when it comes to being a classroom is the ability to post announcements and assign assignments. So an announcement is fairly simple. I go ahead and I click on announcement. It's going to give the option to share with your class. You type in whatever you wish to type here. So and then it also gives me the option to insert a file, upload a file. This is something that I may not have on my Google Drive, but I may have on my computer. I'm going to skip this one because we'll come back to that in a second. I have a clip from YouTube. I have an external link, so I can actually link to another website. And then this option right here, I can actually assign to multiple classes. If I have more than one section or more than one class, that's going to get the same assignment. I can cancel the draft or whatever I'm writing, or I can even post it And if I hold down on this, it'll even give me the option to save the draft or post it as well. Or I can just click right there. Now the reason why I skip the Google Drive option is because you can directly link assignments in Google Docs from your Google Drive. And while you can do that with your with an announcement, it gets much more powerful when you click on the assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this particular one. And yes, I want to delete the draft, and it'll get rid of it for me. But I want to actually assign an assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the assignment tab, and then I'm going to go ahead and it gives you a few things here. It says title of assignment, description of assignment. This is optional. And then the due date. You can even add a time for the due date. So for this particular assignment, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type in quiz about classroom. And a short description. Okay. Now, I don't want to actually attach a file like a PDF or something to this. I don't really need a video, and a link's not going to help me, and I'm only going to send it to PLC1. Instead, I'm going to actually assign something from my Google Drive. So when I click that, it's going to bring up this browser window. Okay, you can either search it as normal, or if you remember what folder it's in, you can actually go hunting for it. So I'm actually going to go hunting for it. There's my classroom folder, because I don't remember exactly where I put it. There's my PLC folder. And then here's my little Google Classroom question that I have. So I have attached this. Now that I've attached this file, if I want to look at it again, make sure it's the right one, I can click that, and it'll open it up for me, and I can see right here what I had in there. But this is where it gets interesting. It's this option over here to the right. Now, if I accidentally attach this and I want to get rid of it, that's what that X is for. But this right here, if I click that down arrow, it gives me three options. One, students can view the file. That means anything that you post from here, any student who's enrolled in your class can view, can look at whatever you're showing them. Okay? Students can edit the file, which means they will edit the original. The problem with this is if student 1 edits the file, any of the changes by student 1 will be seen by every other student in the class. So you want to be a little careful with that unless you're doing a collaborative brainstorming or something of that nature. And then this is another one that works very, very well when it comes to individual assignments or writing prompts. This is where you have make a copy for each student. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click make a copy for each student, and then I'm going to click the assign button. I'm going to leave the due date as tomorrow, August 6th. So I'm going to click assign. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually, in the background, it's actually going to create a copy of this assignment for every single one of my students and assign it out. And as you can see, the assignment has been submitted. You'll see that no students have turned it in, and that one of them still needs to do it. In the event of I had a larger class and I had 15 students who've done it and one who have not, I can click on that. Or excuse me, I can see that. I can also click on this and it'll take me into the student work, as well as this is the assignment information thing. You can see the instructions for it, so just kind of basically an expanded view of the assignment. But then more importantly, it shows me the student work. Anything that the students have turned in, you actually can see here. It'll give you the option you can email the student if they didn't submit something properly, or if they submitted an excellent piece of work, you can give them immediate feedback. You can go to the folder where their assignments are stored, or you can even download any of the assignments that are in here to your computer directly. You also can change the point value or even change it to ungraded. So these are all things that it'll allow you to do. Now, if I go back to my classroom, you'll notice that a new folder has been created. It says templates. Do not edit. If I click in here, this is a file that's created by the system. This file is something you don't want to mess with when it comes to Classroom. As students turn things in, you will actually see these assignments show up in your Google Classroom, and you'll actually be able to view them, read them, and edit them as well. So this is just kind of the basics of Classroom, and so I'm going to go ahead and go back. And so that's the basics of Classroom. You can see there's your assignment. There's an announcement. It tells you what it is, what each one of them are. It even says where the due date is. And the student view is very similar to this. Obviously, they won't have the option to click into it and see all the students and what they've turned in. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to. Here's some drafts. I forgot to mention that. You have some drafts up at the top, assignments that have been created, but yet not really used or not really assigned yet. So it'll actually save drafts for you, so you can type one up and have it ready to go for a particular school day and send it out in that morning. Okay, so that's just basically some of the basics of Google Classroom, and hopefully you got some information from this video that can help you.